Hi guys, today we're going to be making tinfoil boats and we're going to see how many pennies they can hold. So what you're going to need is some sort of glass or something with water. You can use like a pitcher that you can pour into your container. This is going to be like the ocean or whatever that the boat is going to go into. The tinfoil is what you're going to use to make the boat. And if you have trouble ripping it, you can ask an adult for help. And you're gonna need some pennies. If you don't have pennies, any sort of change will do. If you don't have change, that's fine. Anything small, like nuts or chocolate chips or something, works perfectly fine. So the first thing you're gonna need to do is get a piece of tin. Okay, so now that I've finished making my boat out of tin foil, I need my container, my water, and my pennies, and of course the boat. I'm just gonna bring this over to the sink so I can pour the water in and make sure it doesn't spill. The amount of water doesn't really matter. This one only goes a little bit because I only did 1 glass of water. You don't need a ton of water. If you want, you can add food coloring to the water, blue, to make it look like the ocean, or you can just leave it plain, which is what I'm gonna do. Okay, perfect, it fits. Oh wait, no, it's a little too big. I'm just making it a little bit smaller by tucking in the corners so that it can fit. Okay, so this is a little bit smaller. I tucked in the edges. You want to make sure it's nice and flat on the bottom to hold a good amount of pennies. So it floats by itself, which means there are no holes, which is exactly what we want. And then you're gonna take your pennies and you're gonna drop them in either one at a time or a couple at a time, it doesn't really matter. Once your boat has sunk, mine's sunk, I don't know if you can see, but it's touching the bottom right here, and it's sunk kind of halfway down, but it doesn't really matter. As soon as it touches the bottom, that's how you know it's full and it's done, and that's when you're gonna wanna take them out and count the pennies. You might have to drain some of the water out of it because usually when it sinks, it's gonna fill with water. And if you're doing this as a competition, this is when you would count the pennies. Or if you're just doing this with yourself, you might wanna count the pennies also and then make a different boat and see if that one holds more or less, depending on the shape. So this experiment is a great way to learn about how to avoid germs by washing your hands. So for this, you're gonna need a plate. It can be paper or a regular plate, it doesn't really matter. A cup, and you're gonna wanna fill that with water. And what you're gonna want also to beat the germs is pepper. So you're gonna want to take the water and pour it onto the plate so that the bottom of the plate is full. Not too much water because you don't want it to overflow, just enough to fill the bottom of the plate. And then you're gonna wanna pour pepper all over it, and you're gonna want it to cover the water. And if you want, you can add food coloring to the water, but you don't have to. This is a great example of how washing your hands can prevent the spread of germs. So I'm pouring the pepper on the water. The water is gonna represent our hands, and the pepper is the germs that we get throughout the day when we touch things like doorknobs or phones or whatever. So the pepper is the germs, and I've completely covered it, and this is soap. You can use any dish soap, and you're gonna wanna put your finger on the top, pour it upside down, and it gets like a little bit on your finger. And if it doesn't, you can squeeze a little bit out, just a little tiny bit. And see, there's just a little bit, you can't even see it. And you're gonna wanna dip your finger, and the pepper's all gonna float away. And that's what washing your hands does to germs. It makes all the germs float away. Now, I'm gonna show you how I did it, but I'm gonna show you from my perspective so you can see exactly what it should look like from your point of view. Put enough water to fill the bottom, but not higher, like it doesn't fill the sides. As you can see, it doesn't go up here. And I put pepper on top, just enough to cover it. And I'm putting soap on my finger. There's soap on my finger. I don't know if you can see it, but there's a little bit of soap. And I'm gonna put my finger right in the middle, and it all goes away. So we're gonna be making making a volcano, and you're gonna need baking soda, a bowl, and vinegar. And you have to start out by putting your bowl right in front of you and getting the baking soda ready, pouring it into the bowl. Mine looks like this, and I'm going to flatten it out a little bit, and then I'm gonna make a hole in the middle, and that's where I'm gonna pour my vinegar. I'm gonna push it all to the sides so that there's a hole in the middle, kind of like a bagel. And I'm still gonna leave a layer in the middle, so it's not gonna be a complete hole, but most of it is going to be on the sides. And then I'm going to take my vinegar, I'm gonna move back a little bit because it is supposed to explode. I'm gonna move everything out of the way so nothing gets damaged. I'm gonna take my vinegar, I'm gonna pour it right into the middle where I made the hole. And it's gonna fizz like crazy. This will be way more fun also if you add food coloring. What it's gonna look like from your point of view. This is what I did. I made a little hole in the middle, but I still left a small layer. And I make sure there's a lot on the side so that I can fall in. This is gonna look like a volcano. I'm gonna take my vinegar, pop it open, pour it right in the middle. This would be very cool with food coloring and in a clear see-through glass.